There comes the sunrise right now. You're just seeing it. Yesterday evening, I had a group of faculty from a college on a tour here in Magdalene. And when I got to Duke and Altum, I realized I didn't have my keys. I had left them in the sacristy and somebody else had locked the sacristy. And it was getting darker. So I immediately sent a WhatsApp message to a group we have here, one of our staff groups here in Magdala, asking for prompt help if it were possible. And after I was explaining what the bit of light we had in the boat altar chapel, and then I checked the WhatsApp and it hadn't gone out. And then I sent one to a different group, and then a few minutes later it hadn't gone out. And we were surviving with the little bit of light we could. We went down to the Encounter Chapel. And then with the last chapel we did with our telephones, 5 or 6 people turned on their telephone lights and we did a mosaic chapel. And it was like frustrating and disappointing. Nobody had answered. But also it was even more frustrating and disappointing. No matter what I did, the messages didn't go out. And then I turned off the phone completely, closed it down, reopened it, and still the messages didn't go out. And then only afterwards did I realize, when I had said goodbye to the group, the security guy at the door said to me that, I said, there's something wrong with my phone, the messages aren't going out. And he said, it's not just your phone, it's the whole world. WhatsApp and Facebook and Instagram closed down completely. So I had sent the messages afterwards. I checked at 6:38. No, I had the last one I had received was at 6:38, and I must have sent it out at 6:42 or 6:40, and nothing was going out. So at 6:42 I sent it out. So at 6:40, and sure enough, this morning the report said it's 11:40 New York time, 6:40 here. The entire system's crashed. And they were out for quite a while. So it makes you think how we're all connected and very dependent on these services and sources of information, communication. As independent as we have become, we're also very interdependent. And even though we aspire to greater independence, we become more interdependent. Everybody likes to have their own thing for breakfast, but it turns out that there are hundreds and hundreds of people involved in preparing our breakfast. If you have a bit of fruit from far away, if you have a juice or a coffee, if you have a piece of cheese, Like, how many people are involved in getting a piece of cheese? And nowadays, with transport so diligent, so prompt, and worldwide, and so low priced, relatively speaking, then you can basically get a piece of cheese from anywhere in the world in your supermarket, which is just down the road. But how many people have been involved? And it wasn't just the last person at the cashier desk where you paid for the cheese, but also the people who stacked the shelves, who cleaned the supermarket floor, who drove the truck there, the guys with the forklifts taking the crates off the trucks, the manager supervising it. And then they didn't even package the cheese and brand it. And they didn't regulate it. Oh, we were here at our famous little ritual point here at the end of our trek here. So just to make sure we went to the other side. And then you had the packagers and the branders, they had to get cheese, so where did they get the cheese from? And cheese doesn't come from trees. All the farming behind that. And then the farming doesn't stand on its own anymore. The farming is supported by lots of different industries. And research and scientists and regulations. And records of breeding and health support for the herds and quality support for the grasses. And all the investigation in the process of making cheese. So many people involved with just a piece of cheese on my breakfast table. How interdependent we have become as we dream and imagine independence. It's really an incredible, amazing world. And we see that interdependence of development even in the story of Jonah. And he finally gets to Nineveh today and he delivers his message, or God's message, to the people. And then the king gets up and he goes into a mode of repentance. And even the animals, from the top of the human pyramid in Nineveh to the less domestic animals, they're all doing penance. The solidarity involved in changing a society, in conversion. It's a long path. There's a city, Tiberias. And all the challenge we have today, changing politics, situations of human trafficking, care for our world, our creation, God's creation entrusted to us. As much as we are proud of our solidarity, it's still a huge challenge and very fragile. So let's treasure these relationships. And you have the big scheme of a big city, one of the largest city in the world, that's presented Nineveh at that time. And then you go to the household, and there you have a guest, and some people are listening to the guest, and some people are complaining that they're left with all the work, and other people are enjoying the guest's company. I remember sometimes at home we had that kind of a situation, and somebody looked at me, and it was time to go out and get the cows, and it was teeming rain, but the cows had to be milked, the calves had to be fed, the farm life had to go on. To be able to have space for everyone to fulfill their role and their space in the solidarity of the whole body, of the whole family. It's wonderful to be at a place in the network where people are serving us and we are receiving, and very happily receiving. Then we're also part of the service teams. And that part can be very varied. Also in the church we have those who are very dedicated to continual prayer. Those who are in the missions, serving the poorest, listening and providing counsel, studying, and those who are, their biggest job is suffering, their biggest task. Offered up, united in prayer. You know, we're on this pilgrimage of healing, and the thought came yesterday about St. Francis, who had the stigmata. This is a special grace gift of wounds in his body, reminding us of the wounds of our crucified Lord. The presence of wounds as a path of salvation, as a path of growth. So we all pray for the healing of wounds, but the time while we have them is precious. The time we have them is precious. The way we handle them, the way we handle our brokenness, it's a time filled with treasure. Uncomfortable, painful, but incredibly fruitful. People, I think we'll say goodbye for today. I noticed our numbers are down today. Maybe it's got to do with the Facebook outage that we went through. So thank you so much for joining us despite all of that. And maybe you'd like to share this morning's stroll and chat so some more people can enjoy the blessing. See you later, alligators.